Hey guys, I'm going to talk a little bit about Luke Cage's 8th episode, Blowin' Up the Spot. I am going to go into spoilers though, so if you haven't gotten up to episode 8 yet, you should stop watching, but you haven't. So let's go. I've been really liking Luke Cage, but one problem they have is that in a world that doesn't really have any other supervillains running directly around in Luke's world, it gets a little old when every encounter is bad guys shooting at Luke, and of course it can't do anything, which is why this episode was great as far as evening the odds. I mean, Superman has kryptonite, and Luke Cage now has these special explosive bullets that really weakened him and made this episode much more about a vulnerable Luke and saw him in a place where he really needed help. I was glad to see Rosario Dawson had a bigger role here as Claire Temple. She was much more sort of, having to help him. Luke was in a bad place. So it was great to see Claire get to step up again, as we've seen her do in Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and help a superhero. And then Diamondback coming into play. We kept hearing his name. It was kind of this floating guy out in the background you knew you had to meet. And now we met him. And, he was a sort of cool, formidable presence. He and Luke having a history obviously makes things personal very quickly. And again, he's a regular guy. It looks like he has some, maybe fight training, but he can actually fight Luke because Luke is so hurt during this. And I thought that was great to see after all these episodes where, yes, there's something very satisfying about Luke walking in and just beating the hell out of everyone. But at this halfway point, you need someone who can actually physically fight him. And if it's not going to be a super villain, it can be someone who can hurt Luke in the way he did. And then as for the ending, the Empire Strikes Back, I am your brother moment, I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, this show, there's a melodramatic feel that it leans into. The music, the feel, it's heightened. And so I really liked how that worked. In the comic books, Diamondback and Luke are friends in their history, but I don't believe they're brothers. So it'd be interesting if they're actually kind of switching things up, but who knows if he was telling the truth or not. So I did think this episode was a very good one as far as showing Luke in a much more vulnerable place, and I'm curious to see going forward. I mean, he can't be wounded all the time, but how maybe they figure out different ways to do that. So those are my thoughts on the 8th episode of Luke Cage. What did you think? What did you think of Diamondback's introduction, more Claire, and wounded Luke? Let us know in the comments for plenty more on Luke Cage and all things Netflix, all things Marvel. Keep it here at IGN.